What's good, everyone? It's Showtime Nick, and I have some baseball news. First, I'll cover the more recent news, and then I'm going to go over some stuff that happened a little while ago that I didn't get to cover because this is what happens when you're covering 3 sports on one channel. So, before we begin, please remember to like, and if you're new here, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. So, first I'll talk about the George Springer signing, and also Kirby Yates. So, great moves by the Toronto Blue Jays. Then I'm going to talk about what the Mets and the Padres did with the Pirates. And then I'm going to talk about Liam Hendriks to the White Sox and also Archie Bradley to the Phillies, if you want to stick around for that. So, oh, and by the way, I'm pretty sure by the time this video is uploaded, Joe Biden will be president. So, ha! Trump, you loser! Hope the door doesn't hit you too hard on the way out. Or actually, no. I hope it does hit you like a brick on the way out. Or you know what? How I hope that you do go out the door. I know this isn't realistic, but I just wish that this is how you go out the door. Oh, and I'm noticing my Yankee Stadium frame. I've got to move that a little bit. And my Mariano Rivera bobblehead. Okay. Alright, sorry about that, but now that we got all that out of the way, play the intro and let's talk some baseball. So first, George Springer to the Toronto Blue Jays. I was very much anticipating him to go to the New York Mets, but okay, I was wrong about that. Instead, he's going to the Blue Jays, and he's going there for 6 years, $150 million. He got paid pretty good, $25 million a year. Now, for the Mets, it's not exactly the end of the world. Yes, I'm sure you would have liked to have Springer, and I certainly don't blame you, but that $150 million, that could be used to extend the guys you already have, like Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Francisco Lindor, and Michael Conforto. And the Mets already have a good team, and I'm going to talk about a move that they just made yesterday later on. But for now, they're already pretty good, and they are favorites to win the NL East, at least in my opinion. Well, even though their newly hired GM already got fired for this. And pretty funny that the Mets of all teams are the only team, I'm pretty sure, in league history to have a newly hired manager and a newly hired GM to be fired before the season even starts. But okay, that's irrelevant to this right now. So back to George Springer. So Blue Jays fans, you have every reason to be very excited right now. Because not only did you get George Springer, who's an absolute stud, yes, the Astros with their cheating scandal, but when I made my video to laugh at the Astros, you notice I did not laugh at George Springer because he was starting to really heat up at the time I made the video, and he had an overall very good 2020 season, and it continued in the playoffs, so he was able to prove that he doesn't need to rely on the trash can banging in order to produce, and he's a great defensive center fielder as well. So they got Springer, and also the Blue Jays signed Kirby Yates. Now, don't mind his 2020 numbers because he was hurt. Although he did have an insane K rate, but was just terrible everywhere else. And we've seen what a healthy version of Kirby Yates can actually do with the Padres. He sucked when he was a Yankee, but he really turned his career around in San Diego. And I think you'd much rather have him than Anthony Bass. So yeah, the Yankees have some competition in the AL East. The Rays, they still are a team that can compete with the Yankees, but without Blake Snell, yes, they do take a step back. Oh, and they also lost Charlie Morton, who had a down year in 2020, but still, I'm not going to hold that heavily against anyone. And so the Blue Jays right now, they're a very young team, and they were 32-28 last year, a third place team that made the playoffs with the extended playoffs. The only guy in their lineup that's 30 or older from last year is Travis Shaw. And yeah, Springer is 31 now, but you got a young and loaded lineup with guys like Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Vladdy Jr., Teoscar Hernandez, and then you add George Springer. Yikes, that lineup is definitely set from what it looks like on paper right now. They just need to add a little more starting pitching, and then they're really set. And the AL East is going to come down to the Yankees and Blue Jays. Now, if they get Luis Castillo from the Reds, not that Luis Castillo, the ace of the Cincinnati Reds, oh, then I'm going to be scared. Right now, though, not yet, because Springer, while yes, he's a really good player, he hasn't had his best success against the Yankees. Here are his numbers against the Yankees in the regular season. Okay, 2017 he put up good numbers against the Yankees, but besides that, and then his playoff numbers, and as you can see, not very good against the Yankees. Aside from his 2 home runs in the 2019 ALCS, but his overall numbers in that series were actually not very good. Of course, I'd love to have Luis Castillo on my team, but for Gleyber Torres, no. That is absolutely not happening. Although the Blue Jays, they have one of the best farm systems in baseball, and their prospects right now are very expendable because, as you can see, they're making moves to try to win now, and if they want to win now, then they got to add some starting pitching. Hyunjin Ryu is really good, but they need more depth after him, and Luis Castillo, yeah, that's going to make their starting rotation pretty legit. Or maybe they can get someone that's pretty cheap like James Paxton or Jake Odorizzi, and I sure hope James Paxton doesn't go to Toronto. Well, maybe it'll actually be an advantage for the Yankees because the Yankees have had him for the last 2 years and they know what he's got, and yeah, they'll be able to hit against him pretty good. Just some silver lining, but overall, he's definitely going to be able to contribute to the Blue Jays. I've said it before that he is an above average pitcher, and more often than not, yes, you would like to have him as your middle of the rotation guy. If the Blue Jays were to stop here, not that I'm expecting that though, but if they were, they already had a really good offseason, and they can still do more. I'm still not quite ready to say that they're really favorites to win the AL East. I still very much think that that's the Yankees, don't at me, but I gotta say the Blue Jays are doing really good. They just got a lot better, and I gotta give them credit where it's due. So now the Mets and the Padres were involved in a 3-team trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates are blowing it up again. What a surprise, right? I already did talk about the Mets and the Padres with their offseason moves, and now the Mets have Joey Lucchesi. He had horrible numbers in 2020, but again, short season and he was hurt. He only pitched in 3 games. With a rotation that already features Jacob deGrom, Carlos Carrasco, Noah Syndergaard, and Marcus Stroman, he'll be the 5th guy, and I'd say that he's better than Steven Matz. Not by a whole lot, but I would say that he's better. Now for the San Diego Padres, or should I say Slam Diego. This is really their trade, and I already raved about what they've been doing in the offseason in a previous video, and they just made another move. Joe Musgrove is on his way to Slam Diego. Sure, his ERA and WHIP are pretty high, but let's not come to conclusions just from that. He has a career K rate of 22.3%, but last year it went way up to 33.1%. He also has just a career 5.8% walk rate. Last year his SIERA was actually pretty good at 350, and he had a big drop off in hard hit percentage. And looking at Baseball Savant, his exit velo was in the top 7%. He may not be better than the 5th best starter on the Padres right now, but he for sure is better than Garrett Richards. The Padres are really making some noise. Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, Ha-Seong Kim, and then they get Joe Musgrove. So yeah, Padres are going all out right now. The NL West is between the Dodgers and Padres. The Giants were better than we all expected in 2020 at 29-31, but not like we're expecting anything out of them in 2021. So they're definitely going to make some trades to bolster their farm system. And Diamondbacks and Rockies, they may as well blow it up at this point because they're not going to have a shot at winning anytime soon. Or maybe they might want to go all in and give the Dodgers and Padres a run for their money, but I'm thinking they should probably start thinking about blowing it up. And for the Pirates, okay, I'm not going to go so in depth with them because this video is already getting pretty long, but I'll just say that from what I'm hearing, the prospects that they got back from the Padres are looking pretty good, and as you can expect, right, because the Padres have built arguably the best farm system in baseball over the last few years, and they actually managed to get back a lot more in this trade than what they got back in the Josh Bell trade. The last recent transaction that I'm going to talk about in this video is Jon Lester to the Washington Nationals. He hasn't been good at all for the last 2 years, but on a 1-year deal, it's not really a big risk, and best case scenario, he reverts back to what he was before, and worst case scenario, it's only a 1-year deal, and the Nationals still have Steven Strasburg, and Max Scherzer had a down year in 2020, but again, so did a lot of guys. He is up there in age though, so is his age finally starting to show, or was he just one of many guys that just happened to have a down year in 2020 that will bounce back in a full season? We'll see, but I still say what he did in 2020, I would still say is above average. Now, I'm really not sold that John Lester will be back to what he was before, but I could be wrong. But either way, I don't think this is a bad move for the Nationals at all. Okay, now I'll talk about some transactions that I just didn't get around to. So first, I'm going to go over Liam Hendriks to the Chicago White Sox. He signed for $39 million for the next 3 years. Then he has an option in 2024 where he could buy out. So in 2024, he could either make $15 million that year, or he'll make that as time passes. This 4th year option makes it unique. Is this the first contract of its kind? If it's not, please let me know. It's expensive for a reliever, but I think it's absolutely 100% worth it. Before 2019, he only had one good year in 2015, but the last 2 he's been absolutely disgusting. K rate is out of this world. 2019 he struck out 37% of the batters he's faced, and 2020 40%. That is nasty. He doesn't walk a lot of batters either. Damn, his walk rate in 2020 was just 3.3%? He'd probably walk a little more than that in a full 162 game season, but still, I'd say in 2021 it'll be somewhere between 3 to 6%, but that's still very elite. On top of that, opponents are hitting just 188 against him. While Alex Colomé is a very good closer, I had him on my fantasy team 2 years ago. You're definitely getting an upgrade in my eyes by getting Liam Hendriks. Even though Colomé had a better 2020 ERA, Liam Hendriks had a better whip and was much better in terms of K rate and walk rate. Liam Hendriks also has a significantly better SIERA. Liam Hendriks also throws harder and has more pitches. Colomé hasn't thrown his sinker, slider, changeup, or curveballs in the last 2 years, just a fastball and cutter. Liam Hendriks, he throws all of those pitches, although he throws his slider and changeup a lot less than he used to, but he still has those pitches in his repertoire. And he's got a really nice slider in his repertoire. The White Sox already got Lance Lynn, which I never did make a video on. I just briefly talked about it in at least one video, maybe 2, but whatever. They're really not playing around right now. We'll just have to see if Tony La Russa was the right hire. He is a Hall of Fame manager, but after not having managed in the last 9 years, we'll have to see if he can still manage right now. But what they have in their lineup, that's already a really loaded lineup. They have Jose Abreu, the reigning American League MVP, although I could argue that DJ LeMahieu was robbed, but that's for another discussion. And Jose Abreu, nonetheless, is definitely someone you'd love to have in your lineup. And you also got Tim Anderson, Yasmani Grandal, Eloy Jimenez, Nick Madrigal. He looked good for half of the 60-game season, but he was the 4th overall pick 3 years ago, so we can expect him to still be really good in a full 162-game season. He is really short though, only 5'7". They also have Luis Robert, who is dubbed the next Mike Trout, although he didn't put up a very impressive 2020 season, although I think that he can prove to us why he's being dubbed the next Mike Trout in a full season in 2021. I think that the White Sox are easily favorites to win the AL Central right now. I don't think that they'll beat the Yankees in a playoff series, don't at me, but if you're a White Sox fan, you should be really happy with the direction that your team is going in right now. Now, Archie Bradley to the Phillies. This was like a week ago, and the Phillies get some desperately needed bullpen help. Their bullpen was arguably the worst that Major League Baseball has ever seen last year, and it made me feel bad for Joe Girardi. You should know how much I love the guy, and he is a great manager. It wasn't his fault that whoever he put in the game, they were bound to blow it. So Archie Bradley, he had a great 2020 season, although 2019 ERA wise he was fine, had an elite K rate, but more advanced stats like SIERA and xFIP, wouldn't say so much, and his control was really bad, walking 11.4% of the batters he faced. But 2020 he had just a 4.1% walk rate. Full season I expect it to be more between 4.1 and 11.4, but probably a lot better than 11.4. But for Archie Bradley, whether they'll use him as a closer or a setup man, well, the Phillies bullpen couldn't get any worse last year, so almost anyone really, someone who's at least above average would be an upgrade, but they got a pretty damn good reliever. So Phillies fans, you should be happy about this move. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up. Yes, I know this was kind of a long video because I covered both recent transactions and what happened like a week ago or 2 weeks ago that I just didn't get around to. So if you made it this far, thank you for sticking around. That's it for now. Please remember to like, and if you still haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell, and I will see you next time.